what's up guys? It's Cale Brock here. I'm a surfer and a filmmaker. Last year I did a wetsuit review where I got the best wetsuits from some of the best companies in the world and I picked a winner. I'm going to put a link to that video in the description. This year I'm coming back one season later after sharing these wetsuits around amongst my friends and wearing them as much as possible to see which wetsuits stood the test of time, which ones I'm enjoying now and which ones I'm taking away with me for the rest of the year. Alright, we'll start off with the O'Neill. The O'Neill Hyperfreak that I was given came in a back zip, and I think that was the only downfall of this wetsuit. The guys were hesitant to send me a back zip because they felt that it, might not have performed as well. And look, to be honest, from a movement point of view, from a seal point of view, like there was nothing wrong with this suit. Because it's so hot. It's purely just a comfort thing where I actually don't really love the feel of a back zip anymore. So hypothetically, let's just call this a chest zip, and how would I then rate the wetsuit? Well, it would be right up there. Really high quality, feels really good. I've had a lot of feedback from students who have bought Hyperfreaks in the past, and they say that they've stretched a lot within a season. So with me and me dishing this out to friends to wear this as much as possible, we probably wouldn't have stacked up as much time in the water as you would expect someone to with having only this suit for a season. But it still seems to have held together really well. No major stretching, no leakage or anything, and overall just a really well put together suit. I would say this wetsuit was surfed in about 30 times over the last year, and it seems to have held up pretty well. Alright, let's come to the neat essentials. So this one I gave to Ryan from the Surfer's Journey as well, and Ryan wore it a bunch. He said it was a really warm suit. He said it was pretty hard yakka. I think that those were the words that I described it as last time, in that it's quite bulky. It's pretty not tough to put on, but you can feel that you're in a 4-3 when you're wearing this suit. Getting off.
Bit tricky. A little bit tricky. It feels just as good as suits that would be like double the price.
Yeah.
Feels equally as good.
That's a good testimonial. He said that he surfed this suit more than the O'Neill because he just found it a little bit more comfortable, probably because of that chest zip reason. So the wetsuit has stood the test of time really well, surfed in approximately 40 to 50 times and looking really high quality still. No tears, no leakages, and overall a really good suit. For the price, this is held up really well. Certainly no complaints there. So yeah, the neat essentials, 4-3, still looking really good. The Curl Flashbomb, this I was given in a 3-2. Now I wore this quite a lot actually in summer just to get the hours up on this suit, and probably ended up surfing in it in maybe 20 sessions or so. It held up really well. It did sort of become a little bit too stretchy, where like around the feet and stuff, I'd be surfing on a wave and it would kind of get flicked up and it would roll up my ankle a little bit and let water in. So that was a little bit frustrating. It's the comfiest suit out of the lot. It's just an incredibly comfortable suit, and it's very warm and it stretches the most out of any. That can be a downside in the longevity factor. I've had a few clients buy these and say they only really last a season. With me being able to surf it, 20 times or so, it has not deteriorated in any way. I'd say it's not as watertight as some of the 4-3s, but I would also say that it's extremely comfortable and very performance driven. So it's sort of built, it seems, to really allow that movement, and getting away with wearing a 3-2 in winter is always a bit of an awesome idea, because you can, you feel a lot freer, you don't get fatigued as quickly. So that's why this suit's really good. I think if I had to find a downside over time, like just around the legs and stuff, I just found it getting a little bit too stretched. There's certainly no repairs needed or anything. It was just around the legs and maybe a little bit of the chest where I started feeling it get a little bit loose over time. So yeah, look, still one of the most high performing suits in the world, I would say, and incredibly warm for a 3.2. You could wear it in winter, which is absolutely nuts. But is it going to be worth the price tag? Not 100% sure. Probably need to surf in it another season and see how it holds up after that amount of time. The Billabong wetsuit, the Furnace that we had, I dished out to a friend of mine who's taken it to South Africa, and that was probably the biggest disappointment in terms of suit deterioration over time. Initially, when I had that suit, I commented on how comfortable it was and how just amazing the suit felt. It was warm over winter, but then over time, it started to stiffen up quite a lot. And then when I dished it out to my friend who surfed in it quite a lot, I reckon it was around 30 to 40 sessions, the neck started to deteriorate quite a lot, and it started to leak, and it just started to sort of fray around the neck lining particularly. So that one was a little bit disappointing, didn't really last as long. It may have been a one-off. I'm definitely not going to stand here and say Billabong wetsuits just die. So I actually had one of my students message me and give me some feedback. They also bought one of the Billabong wetsuits, the Furnace, and found that the neck area split and was cut as well. And he emailed Billabong and they didn't want to fix it. They wanted to send him a new one. Whereas his experience was that people like Rip Curl and O'Neill would have fixed it, as opposed to just sending out a new wetsuit. So yeah, interesting little piece of feedback there. While we're here, let's jump to booties. We have the O'Neill Hyperfreak booties over here. We have the Rip Curl Flashbomb booties here, and we have the Need Essentials. So in winter, I found myself wearing the Flashbomb booties the most, because they're the warmest by quite some way, and they felt relatively comfortable. I would say they were the most sensitive in that I could feel the surfboard, but they were moderately comfortable. That was the only problem with these booties. These are the narrow fit. I have infamously wide feet, so already there was a little bit of restriction there from a width perspective. The main issue, though, is this split toe with these booties just doesn't allow enough room for your big toe. And I actually had this seconded by a friend, and we found that it presses really hard into your toe and creates an incredible amount of discomfort in your big toe, to where it feels like you have an ingrown toenail. Which booties do you have?
Yeah, I got these Rip Curl, what are they?
They're the same.
Yeah, they're pretty sick. Only thing is, kind of feels like you got an ingrown toenail. And
it hurts your toe.
Yeah, it's weird. Eh?
I know, same. So we've both said unequivocally that these are probably
and we
the
don't
best.
have ingrown toenails.
No, not currently. At the same time, I persisted with these because they were so warm and because they just felt so natural over the feet. It's a 5mm boot, and it certainly doesn't feel like that. So I was pretty impressed with these booties. I'd love to have a crack with the wide ones to see if they worked a little bit better. But yeah, wore these pretty much all winter, say 40 or 50 sessions, and they've held up pretty well. So I'm pretty happy with those. The O'Neill Hyperfreak booties, they're 3mm. They're not as warm as the Rip Curl. They have the split toe, which I typically don't love. I would say these are just a less classy version of the Flashbomb boots. Great, warm-ish, and very reliable, relatively sensitive. They're probably a little bit more hardcore and durable than the Rip Curl booties. Probably, I would say, in better condition based on the amount of times I've surfed in them, which was quite a lot. I tended to rotate booties a little bit if I was surfing twice in a day. But yeah, these were good boots. The Need Essentials booties, these I ended up wearing a ton over summer. Not that it was so cold, it was just to deal with some rocky ledges and stuff like that at home when I'm surfing some of the slabs. These are not particularly warm, I would say. They're quite thin. They're probably, I would guess, without seeing what it says, 1.5 mil or 2 mil? 2 mil. So these are 2 mil boots. I would say as well, though, they were the most comfortable. So that might be reflective of the thin material. I didn't get that annoying thing with the toe. They just felt really comfortable and flexy. They did let a little bit of water in, hence I didn't actually wear them much over winter at all. I just felt they weren't going to be warm enough. But certainly over summer, I wore them a lot, just as feet protection. And they held up really well, even after climbing over some pretty serious limestone reef and stuff. So let's come back to the wetsuits now. I'm going to share my 2 favourite wetsuits that have stood out. So here we have the Hurley Advantage Plus, the 4.3, and here we have the Quicksilver Highline 4.3. Both wetsuits have remained in pretty fantastic condition considering how much I've surfed in them. These wetsuits I ended up surfing in the most because they were my favourite, so I would say 50 or 60 sessions in each one. I wore this a lot last year in France. I tried to wear this a lot last year while I was here, and then wore this a lot this year. I would say that from a warmth perspective, the Hurley is actually a little bit warmer than the Quicksilver Highline. And I think that's because of the distribution of rubber. They chose, I think they have a 5-4-3 distribution of rubber, where they keep the legs the warmest because they're in the water, and they give most freedom to the shoulders, which are paddling all the time, so theoretically staying warm, and also potentially in the sun a lot more, being out of the water. So I find that actually works quite well. So that kept me the warmest, I would say. One of my favourites. Really comfortable, really warm. Nothing to complain about with this suit. It's been really good. The Quick, though, I would say just has a touch more comfort, and it still, after this whole time, doesn't leak at all. Whereas in this suit here, there's just the odd little leak here and there, in the lower body particularly. But maybe I just got unlucky there and got lucky over this side. So yeah, that's the only reason I still sort of oscillate between the two. But I found that just having these 2 suits available and sort of rotating them, I'd go surfing twice a day, wear this one in the morning, that one in the morning, this one in the afternoon as it warmed up, and that was just kind of perfect for me. They're both about a similar pricing, I believe, so I would say that, yeah, both of these suits really stood out to me in the test, and those are the ones that I would actually choose or recommend going forward. In the meantime, since last winter's wetsuit review, I also did a review on the Project Blank wetsuits, which were really good. So they provided me with a Ulex suit, which is like a natural plant rubber that was pioneered by Patagonia, and that suit performed really well. So I just wanted to acknowledge them, that had they been involved in this test, that would have been an interesting run to see how they went. So you can check out that review. I'll link it here in the description and maybe up here. Recently, I also received a custom-made wetsuit from Glides Japan. They basically sent me an Instagram message and said, hey, we'd love to make you a custom suit and put some Surfers Roadmap branding on it. It looks so cool. I'm really excited about it. Basically, they sent me like a form and I had to measure like all around my body and then send that back, and then they custom made the suit, and it went on so easily. So I'm going to see over the trip how this holds up over time. Yeah, beautiful, really comfortable Yamamoto rubber. The easiest suit I've ever been lucky enough to put on. Now, I haven't worn it in the water yet, but that's the 3.2 that I'm going to be taking away with me when I go to the US, France and Morocco. because I'm leaving France a little bit earlier this year, I don't think I'm going to need a 4.3. If I do, I'll probably just pick one up over there as opposed to carrying one with me. So all these amazing 4.3s that I've been lucky enough to use are going to be with me again next season, and I'm going to continue rotating them. Perhaps even in a couple of years, we can do another review 4 years down the line or something from the initial test. I'm also taking some undershorts. These are just like skins so I don't get rash under my boardies, some actual boardies, a little lightweight towel. I'm also taking some future spins, 20s, quads, thrusters, wax, some of my special new zinc, and something I'm really excited about, my signature surf hats. These are really exciting. These are going to be out in the next few weeks, so make sure you check out the link in the description below. And then I'm sorted. We're all good to go. I'm going to miss you. Did you just slobber over the microphone? You did, that's naughty. Alright, I hope you enjoyed that. That was a pretty simple video today. A lot of waffling. I hope it's not too much talking. But that's what I'm currently thinking about when it comes to these suits, and that's the experience that I and my friends have had over the past year wearing them. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, let me know in the comments how have your suits been holding up over the past 12 months, and yeah, I'll see you guys soon.